to Divine Horses and Humans. I'm Joseph J. Divine, aka the Dyslexic Horse Guy. This is Narenka, aka the Matriarch, in a round pen, and so you're watching the Narenka playlist. So let's start off with the boring stuff, as I always call it. So if anybody, horses, humans, anything you do, right, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're always going to get the same result, right? So you need to change something. We need to do something different to get a different result. So, for example, if I'm going to go like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we upload and all that, right? I'm going to keep doing the same thing, right? And to get something different, I need to do something different, because what's going to happen is that you're going to get bored of it, because you're going, oh, he just says this bit all the time. He says this, and you're just going to skip over it, right? Because you've got your own brain in your head. So if we're talking about your brain in your head, let's talk about sympathetic nervous system and cortisol. So that's a call to action. Go learn about sympathetic nervous system and cortisol. Horses learn through the sympathetic nervous system, right? Facts, right? We increase their dendrites there. Research done by Dr. Stefan Peters. Yeah, go Google him and go and have a read about it. If you want an advantage with your horse, right, that's the first place you need to start. If you want an advantage with your horse, you just want to go and work with horses, you want to protect yourself more. This is all about a foundation. This is all about groundwork, right? So, because worked in the British equine industry for over 25,000 hours, that's over 10 years, and see a huge hole in the industry where horses are not being educated on the ground. Because the British equine industry seems to be obsessed with just the destination, and they're not worried if the groom on the ground gets injured, damaged or whatever. They're not worried about the horse's manners on the ground, because that's what horses do. So the other part of this, I'm dyslexic, right? So I'm neurodiverse, so I go against the grain, right? If I don't believe in tradition, right? Things have to change to make things better. If things just stagnate and, you know, nothing's ever going to get any better. I can't just accept what they're all doing. So I look at what they're all doing in the British equine industry and I think, right, I'm going to do completely the opposite, because it doesn't seem to be working. Because they're working off of pain, punishment, discomfort, leverage, steel, and they haven't got any kind of foundation in there. It's all about the ride. Oh, and let's not forget whips. So talking about whips and canes, and right, as a school, because I was dyslexic as a child in the 70s, stupid, simple, idiot, never going to make it. We're just disciplining. Discipline equaled punishment, equaled violence, equaled actually hitting you across the back of the legs or across your backside with a cane, a bit like a whip or an air crop. And most punishment and pain does not motivate any kind of sentient being. So let's crack on with it. So there is no I in team, it's we. We work as a team together, because that's the other part of what I'm doing this, because, as I said, worked in the industry for over a decade, and I couldn't get equine bosses to understand that that the horse, or the horses that I'm working with, that they're paying me to work with, are my work colleague, right? They couldn't understand that. You know, I had to create a relationship, a friendship with their horses to make my job simpler. Because I don't know about you, but I like to work smarter so I don't have to work so hard. But here in the British equine industry, they seem to want to work harder to make themselves look smarter. So we don't give credit to the teamwork with what we've just achieved with, i.e. the horse and myself. I'm just going to go I. And I doesn't belong in the conversation. So yeah, new piece of kit. Well, it's not a new piece of kit, cheap, affordable piece of kit. A gym ball. I think this is like 75 millimetres, 75. It's a 70 centimetre gym ball. So she sort of stopped, right? So, as you know, with Naranka, I'm going to kick it down there. With Naranka has to move her feet. She's that kind of mare. She's 42 years young, as I said, hence the balding face, because we all go bald when we get old, hence the balding head. And the more you start to understand that, right, and that's the first place you're going to start with sympathetic nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system and cortisol. And if you suffer with any kind of anxiety, fear-based, anything like that, right, and you've been to see a professional of some sort, that professional's probably going to tell you, if they're any good, the best form of medicine for what you are suffering with is to get up and move your feet, right? Why? Because when you start moving your feet, you can clear cortisol out of your system. You can actually sweat it out of your pores, right? But if you're producing cortisol, right, it pumps your muscles up, it accelerates your heart rate, and it pushes your blood pressure up. Horses pick up on this, and horses are full of the stuff. Right, that's why they get a little bit, when they get panicked, they just go. Right, so she's licking and chewing, so there's something going on. Let's see if we can get her to disengage. And she looks at it, so just going to stop, take her away from it for a bit. So this is why I keep talking about sympathetic nervous system. I don't know if you heard that then, a bit of a sympathetic nervous system, and I'm going to keep talking about it because you need to understand it, because there's not enough of a conversation going on here, especially here in the British equine industry, because when I used to talk about it, everybody would look at me like I was crazy, because that's the reason, see, she get hooked up on that and she stopped. That's the reason I got involved with horses, to try and work out why I always felt anxious. And the anxiety is because I'm worried about what's going to happen in the future that I can't control. Depression is you're worrying about what's happened in the past that you can't change. But the one thing that horses will teach you, they will teach you to be in the present moment. You have to be in the present moment, and you have to have an idea of what you want. If you haven't got an idea of what you want, it's all going to go wrong very quickly. So if you go about your business with a horse like you've only got 5 minutes, it's going to take you all day. If you go about your business with a horse like you've got all day, it's only going to take you 5 minutes. So it's mindset. So you can see I'm advancing in and I'm retreating, but I'm getting closer every time, but keeping the rhythm the same. Oh, we're going to keep going. Stopped. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to let her off and let her move her feet. So another problem I see an awful lot of British equine industry. Right, when somebody walks away with a horse, right, and they get to the end of the lead rope, and the horse doesn't automatically move, which she moved, obviously, right, and the horse doesn't move, they stop and they turn around and look at them. Right, I don't know if you noticed, but when I turned around and looked at her, her head bent away. Right, like her head just went up, right? Don't want to do that. If you can't feel them on the rope, right, and they've stopped, you turn around and look directly at them, because you will look directly at their head, because that's what humans do. Now you've gone predatory, because you're like, Where do you see horses do that? You don't. Horses that like mirror each other. So one particular day, one horse would be the leader, it's like, we're going. Right, but there'd be another horse that's like a leader and a follower. A bit like Polida. And Polida's like, oh, I'm going up there. So she goes, and then Divine will be going, look, where you going? And then Divine will come up behind her, and then the ranker will follow Divine. It's always Divine and the ranker, always. So we have to be very aware of our surroundings, doing what we're doing here. Oh, I'm not going to pull it. Right, as I said, this is real important. Real important. You can get a horse to do this. And I said, yeah, we're better that side, right? But the tighter in the spine, right, the tighter in the mind. The looser in the spine, the looser they are in their mind. That's why, by letting them move their feet, you're letting them get off of that cortisol. So it's releasing the tension out of their muscles, and it's releasing the tension in their brain, right? That's like, run away, I must get away from this, it's going to kill me. Cortisol, serotonin, dopamine. That's what happens. So you start cortisol, flight, run away, run away, run away. I'm running, start producing serotonin. Serotonin, serotonin, serotonin. Get to a point, oh, I think I've run far enough, and this is on the horse's behalf. I've run far enough, I can turn around, I can look, I can assess, now I can graze. So if you use that and you understand that, you can use that to huge advantage. Huge advantage. But you've got to understand they've got to move the feet. And everybody here in the British equine industry does everything in their power to stop them from moving their feet. They want them to be like a statue, or they just lunge them. That doesn't work. Right, so we're going to the left straight away. That's not a problem, I've got no problem with that. Talking about left, it's 8:10 in the AM on the 4th of July, I believe. And here comes the builders again, brilliant. Yeah, on the 4th of July. So, happy Thanksgiving to all you Americans, North America. So, she's going to the left, but she's pretty slow today. She's walking, right? And that's what I want. So, the last 3 days of letting her do her thing in here, it's paying off, right? By letting her go where she needs to go, letting her go as fast as she needs to go. Right now she's walking, she's quite level-headed, so she's flat, and this is what we want. We want a flat horse. We don't want high-headed horses that are like that. Right, high-headed, hollowed out in the back, wired basically, and I have met hundreds like that. But so many people in the British equine industry have put under this false illusion that that's how horses are. And it doesn't work like that. That's what you think, because you haven't got the skill sets or the vision. Because I'm neurodiverse, I can see things that you can't even see. I can see patterns, and this is what I see a huge hole in the British equine industry. And this is where people, especially that are going to work in the industry, should be taught this. I'm going to push into her, then I'm going to get her to turn. There you go. Should be taught this to protect themselves and to protect horses. Because as I said, Narenka is the kind of horse that needs to move her feet. See, she's got a little bit more headed on this side. Very small frontal lobe, not a lot of reasoning goes on with them. It's do or die, yeah? So do is run away, or we could die. And that's what you've got to remember. Right, so see if we can get me 2 eyes. She's not really, so now I'm looking straight at her hip. Right, so she's not looking, so here we go, here's the poo, right? So I talked about this yesterday and it didn't happen, right? But it happened the day before, right? Now that to me, what that says to me, that's a sign of, wow, I'm not gonna die. But you could take it in a sign of, oh my God, I'm going to die. So they have a poo, lighten themselves up to move faster. But there's a snort, but she's walked. She hasn't cantered or trot, and she's still looking at us, right? So there she goes. So she's leveling her head, right, and she's licking and chewing. Right, so there's something in it. Right, and yeah, horses can poo on the move, right? But the fact that she chose to stop says to me, oh, right, I can stop. I'm not going to die. So you've ever heard of the term, right? You ever heard of the term from a human being, oh, I shit myself then. There you go. Right, so it could be interpreted, you either shit yourself in fear, right? Or you've gone, oh God, and you've just let all your bowel movement go, yeah? I've noticed that with a lot of dogs I've worked with, when dogs relax, when dogs lie down, they fart, yeah? Same with horses, right? It's either to let tension out or a sign of relief. As I said, she started snorting now, so, but she's that kind of horse, you know, she's 42 years young, yeah? And she's that kind of horse. So, talking about, there we go, talking about dyslexic time, right? First off, wearing a watch, you don't work in human time with horses, you work in horse time, in their time. So she's looking at me, so I'm just going to walk off over here, right? And the problem is so many people, especially in the British equine industry, work everything in human time, and that's where it all starts to unravel itself, especially when the human starts running out of time. And like as I said, if you go about it like you've got 5 minutes, it'll take all day with horses, but if you go about it like you've got all day, it'll take 5 minutes. And you have to use horse values and emotions, right? Not human values and emotions. They're a horse, okay? They're not a human being. So here we go into the river, and this is where you go when you want to communicate with the horse, right? So she's like, oh, I don't really know, but I'm just going to rub her, and then I'm just going to walk away and leave her alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push her on a little bit and make her move her feet a little bit more. Come on in. If you're not going to, no, I want you to go that way. No, there you go. Like I said before, said to you yesterday, no need to kick the snot out of them, no need to spur them up, no need to air whip them, no need to crop them, no need to, yeah, just right. Oh, I'm just going to keep her in trot then. Right, but I need to push her forward to there. Still snorting at me. But she's like, oh, what do I do? Right, go on then. Right. Still holding tension, because now she's become high-headed, her jaw's gone tight, right? But she's not breathing. just starting to now. You can hear through snorting. Yeah, it's still. Let's come back here, change the direction. See that here, that snort? And that's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. And I've worked with her for a long, long time. Long time. And she's still sceptical of me because of what other human beings have done to her. Because she just thinks everything means forward. Everything. Not the odd thing, but when she played polo, she read the game. She read the game. And if you weren't on watching the ball and the ball went back this way, she would just literally stop and turn back. And if you weren't with her, you were going out the side door. And that happened to Mrs. P a few times. So, we're coming towards that time. Let's just see if she'll deal with that and go past it. So, you know, this is the bit, right? There's going to be individuals that are watching this and going, oh, this is so boring. And it's like, well, you're the one that needs to slow down and actually take time to see it from the horse's point of view, right? Because they're not a motorbike. They're not a machine. They're human. They're a sentient being, yeah? Living, breathing, sentient being. So if you don't introduce them to stuff like that, right, how are they ever going to learn about it? They're not. They're going to really, really struggle. And then when that stuff turns up at your show jump or your cross country or your whatever you go to, and that turns up, right, and your horse just ducks out and you end up on the floor because you've put no prior preparation into preparing that horse for what could happen. And it's our responsibility as human beings to prepare them for a human world. What we're asking them to do is naturally in them, but how they do it is naturally in a herd. So all your dressage manoeuvres, your piaffe, piage, all that jazz. Where do you see it? You see it all out in the paddocks when they're flirting with each other or playing with each other. And that's what we're trying to simulate. We're trying to mirror herd behaviour because it's psychology. This is all psychology based. There's no PhDs in it or whatever. It's just psychology based. Right, the sympathetic nervous system and all that. You need to go and understand that. You need to go and understand cortisol and what it does. And if I have more time to actually let Naranka do her thing a bit more, right, we could get more stuff done. But you see, she's not leaning back, look, she's actually lowering her head, look, right, licking, chewing. That's hugely beneficial. And if you can't understand that, you need to start to understand it. There, look, that's huge for her. You need to understand this. This flexion on the front end is hugely important. Hugely important. So that one, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for checking us out. If you're still here, thank you so much. You're a superstar. And yeah, don't forget to go and check out the rest of the playlists. Yeah, we upload 5 days a week, long form content and short form content 7 days a week. Okay, so we'll catch you next one. Cheers.